Hello, this is Pastor Vlad. Today we're going to begin studying the Gospel of John, and we will have chapter 1 today, verses 1 through 5. Let's read them together. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. First, we'll begin with the observation. We'll be marking the words that repeat themselves in this passage, and we will try to figure out who or what John is talking about. And so, in the beginning marks the time. And this is one of the key phrases here, and we will mark it with a clock symbol. So, in the beginning was the Word. And here comes the word word, translated from the Greek. And in the Greek, it sounds like logos. It says that the Word was in the beginning. And then John says, and the Word was with God. Apparently, he talks about the location where the Word was. It says with God. And then John goes on and says, and the Word was God. In other words, logos equals God, or theos in Greek. So the Word is or was God. The Word is one of the key words here. The Word, the Word, the Word. And pay attention to the fact that it's the Word, not a word, not any type of word, but it's the Word. And from the later on context, we will figure out who or what John is talking about. Now look at verse 2. In verse 2, logically, if the Word is a non-living concept, why would John write the pronoun he? Normally you would write it was, the Word was in the beginning with God, but here he says he was in the beginning with God. And again, he repeats the same phrase, in the beginning, which is a timestamp. In the beginning, he, the Word, was with God. And look at this. With God, he repeats the same concepts in different combinations. So in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. He, the Word, was in the beginning with God. And right here it says, and the Word was God, right in the middle. He was not only with God, but he was also God. So what he says is that there was a beginning. And what beginning is he talking about? What beginning? Let's read on. In verse 3 it says, all things came into being through him, through the Word. That means the Word is a he. The Word is not it. It's not something non-living. It's a living entity. It's a person. It says all things came into being through him, which makes him, the Word, a creator, right? If something comes into being through this person is a creator. And it says all things. There's not a single thing that is in the natural world that came into being apart from him. He was the one who created everything. And John repeats the same thing in a different way. And apart from him, the Word, nothing came into being. So first he uses the positive sentence by saying all things came into being through him. That's a positive sentence because there's no negation of anything. And he repeats the same thing, except there's a negation. And apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being. In other words, everything that came into being through him, not apart from him. So he was not only the creator, but he was also the living Word, as John calls him by the pronoun he, which is a masculine pronoun. So this concept of everything coming into being makes this Word a creator. And next, John says, in him, in the Word, was life. Now, he switches over to talking about him as a personality, as someone who contained life. He says, in him was life. And now, in the next line, he says something about the life. What was the life like in the Word? And the life was the light of men. Here he says, in him was life as a general concept. He is the life-containing Word. The life-containing Word. Because the life was in him. That's what it says. In him was life. That means he contained life in himself. Now, when we read, and the life was the light of men, this is something different. Something different. Now, we see the life becoming the light. And not only the light in and of itself, but it says the light of men. We'll talk about it just in a few seconds. And it says, and the life was the light. That means he, the Word, was also the light-bearing life. So he was the life-containing Word. Now we can combine the two together. He was the light-bearing, life-containing Word. And it says, the life was the light of men. Why is that? Well, the problem is that light is required where there is darkness. Apparently, the men here have been darkened by something that required light to shine upon them. Light is not required where light is available. Light is required where there is darkness. In verse 5, it says, the light shines in the darkness. Whose darkness is that? And this is the locational concept. In the darkness. Light shines in the darkness. As we can see in verse 4, it says, the life was the light of men. Now, whose darkness was it necessary to shine through? Of course, the darkness of men. We are the darkness, and we needed the light that was the light of men. The Word was the life-containing, light-bearing entity. And it says, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Did not comprehend it. Comprehend what? Comprehend the light. Darkness can never beat light. Light always breaks through the darkness. Even the smallest spark of light will become visible in darkness. And if we talk about the concept of shining, light always shines. It's a moving, it's an active state of being. Light shines. That's its quality. The light never stands still. It's always and constantly moves. The darkness, instead, is static. Light moves, while the darkness is static. I'm sure you've never seen in your life a device called FlashDark. No, you cannot use FlashDark because darkness doesn't move. Darkness is static. But you can buy a flashlight because light always moves. Now, the word comprehend in this context could mean overcome, beat. In this case, John says, and the darkness did not beat or comprehend or overcome the light. Now let's sum up. It says that there was a beginning when the Word was. He repeats it twice. In the beginning was the Word. He was in the beginning with God. Now, when was the beginning? What beginning is he talking about? Apparently, he's talking about the beginning of all things, the beginning of all creation, the beginning of creation. Same thing here, the beginning of creation. This is the only beginning we can think of here because we don't know what was going on before the beginning. And so John says that in the beginning, that word, which was the light of men, which contained life, he brought about everything in the world. He created everything, and he was the creator. And in verse 3, he repeats in two different ways that everything that has ever been created was created by him, and nothing that has ever been created was created apart from him. That means he was actively involved in the process of creation. He was actively involved in life-sustaining, life-containing, light-bearing, life-giving process of creation. He himself filled everything with light and with life. That's the whole thing that John talks about here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and we will talk about the next passage next time. Thank you. God bless you.